So today we are going to discuss about behavioral description in VHDL. So I will put the one slide back which I discussed last time. So at some point in time we are talking about what is the semantic model of VHDL, the various constructs that are there, what do they mean, okay. We already discussed the structural description, which essentially consists of the netlist, where we have the components, the instantiation of the components and the interconnection of these components. That's the structural description. We already taken some examples of data flow description, and we will again at some point in time, just to make a difference between the other, I will talk about again the data flow description. It primarily consists of concurrent assignments, and you can have concurrent assignments of signals, and that will be consists of the data flow description. We have seen some examples, we will see more. Algorithmic description and RTL description are typically the behavioral description. So we will see examples of at least some of them, something here, and we will continue with it in the next class. Just to go over some of the statements, of course we are not seeing examples of all of this, but today we will have some more, and rest of it we will finish in the next class. So process statement we will see today, which is part of the behavior, concurrent procedure call, concurrent signal assignment, which is part of the data flow. We already saw some examples, and component instantiation, which is part of the structure. We saw some examples in the last class. Generate statement also is part of the structure, and we saw some examples last time. Block statement, this again we will check, and later on finally we will talk also of this concurrent assertion statement. Let us take an example of a very simple flip-flop. So this is primarily a modeling issue. So we are taking a simple flip-flop and we are modeling it. So this is a D flip-flop, and it has two inputs, the D input and the clock input, and it has two outputs, Q and Q bar. So any such flip-flop I had to represent it in terms of, first of all, an entity. Any component is to have an entity and an architecture. So this is my entity, which gives me the interface. So entity D flip-flop is port, D clock in bit, both of them are in. So the first thing to realize is, in VHDL, clock is not treated separately than other signals. Clock is just any other signal, just like any other input, clock is also an input. Of course, we will see that we will be more sensitive to events on the clock, because whenever we are doing a synchronous design, we have to sense that, but we will do that, but this is not really any other. So you treat it, there are languages, other hardware description languages, where you can declare something as a clock. Here we don't declare anything as a clock. The CLK is just a name. I could have used any other name XYZ for it. I have two outputs, Q out bit, QN out, and I also introduced this syntax, which is basically an initial assignment to QN. Of course, I could have also written here Q out bit is equal to 0 and QN out bit is equal to 1, like I have here. Both of them can be done. In this case I have only shown one, but both could also have been done. Okay. So when I write something like this, it's primarily a, so now all the time I will be talking about synthesis and what is important from the point of synthesis and what's important from the point of a simulation. Please remember this, as we have already defined what synthesis is, and simulation is concerned only about modeling the design. It could be a structural design or it could be a behavioral design. So presently the design may be in the structural form or it could be in the behavioral form. When I talk of simulation semantics, there are certain constructs, many constructs actually are allowed only in the simulation semantics, only a subset of that is allowed in the synthesis. So this initialization is one such thing. It is part of, typically synthesizers will not support such an initialization. You have to do something else if you have to initialize this flip-flop too. But what it means is, whenever I instantiate this particular component, and when I invoke this component, it will be start with this QN output to be 1. So it will be part of my initialization as far as the simulation is concerned. So that is part of the entity. Now I go to the architecture. These are all inputs and outputs, and let me look at the so this is the D flip-flop which is continued. So I have architecture behavior of DFF is begin. Of course, I could have written it in another line, that doesn't matter. So this is begin process clock. Okay, I will come back to this. Let me just go through this, what this is doing, and then we will see this. I should have. Begin if clock equal to 1, then Q is assigned D after 10 nanosecond, and Qn is assigned not D after 10 nanosecond. End if, end process, end behavior. So syntactically you can see that this particular end is for this particular architecture behavior. This particular end if is of course for this if, and this end process is for this begin process. So that is the matching. Begin if and end if. Okay, so now when we have a description like this, what is the implication? First of all, let me try to make clear what this means. With every process, you can attach a list of signals to which the process will be sensitive to. This is called a sensitivity list. The implication is within the process it is a sequential set of statements. There is a sequential execution within the process, but the process itself is concurrent. This process is concurrent with, if you remember one slide we had in the last class where we said that we have these processes which are communicating with other processes, and all these processes are concurrent and they are communicating through signals with other processes. So this is your P1, P2, P3, 3 processes. So these are processes which are concurrent. So this particular process is concurrent with other processes. So when something is concurrent, after all, a VHDL simulator is going to run on a sequential machine. Okay, this is a language which is an executable language, in the sense that was when we did the modeling. So we actually are going to execute. So when this process should get triggered, when should this set of sequential statements be executed? And that is what is determined by the sensitivity list. Any signals that I put on the sensitivity list, the way the simulation model for VHDL exists is, all the processes that you have in your system, they will all be executed at the time you start the system. When the design first time at time 0, all these processes are executed. Afterwards, each of the processes get executed. After execution of the process once, they will all be suspended. They will all be in a suspended state. And each time there is any activity on the signals, any of the signals which are present in the sensitivity list, if there is any event, an event could be a clock. In this case, the clock has 2 events, when the clock signal goes 0 to 1 or clock signal goes 1 to 0. How are these events generated? They are generated from outside, either through the simulation. To the terminal you can set things. You can have a command window where you are setting this like you do simulation in your Xilinx tools, or we will later on also define there is a notion of a test bench, which can be another process which is generating all the inputs that are required by these processes which need to be tested. We will also see an example of the test bench. So this begin process clock, so this signal within the parenthesis essentially indicates that this particular process is only going to be sensitive to clock. Whenever there is an event on clock, I will start sequentially executing this. And once I have executed it, it will be suspended. That is the semantics that we have. That's how or you can say the simulation semantics of this language is like that. But this is
if you want triggering by only certain type of event like clock, here it will be triggered by clock going from 0 to 1 also and 1
to 0, yes. So, okay, so so there are many ways of getting over it. So we will later on see, once we have studied this language, we can be more selective. So, but basically here you can only associate, you cannot associate events, you can only associate a set of signals in terms of the sensitivity list. Now, as soon as you get inside this, you can see that I have made a distinction between the rising edge and the falling edge. The way I have made a distinction between the rising edge and the falling edge is essentially checking whether clock is 1 or not. So, if you have gone from 0 to 1, so basically the 0 to 1 transition, this is after that event, and because that event has occurred, the clock is now actually 1, and because the clock is 1, then I am performing a transfer of D to Q. But if, let us say, at the rising edge also this particular process would have triggered, but this part would have been bypassed and I would have again gone into the suspended state, because my clock would have been 0. Now let us look at what happens over here. This we have discussed before, but let us again discuss this again. So it is now within the architecture behavior. So I am going to evaluate the right hand side expression. In this case the expression is simply D, whatever is the value of D. I am going to take that value and assign it to Q, but this assignment is delayed by 10 nanoseconds. This assignment will take place only after 10 nanoseconds. Similarly, so I am going to assign this not D also to Qn, but again this is going to be delayed after 10 nanoseconds. So we will see other examples of this particular behavior, and we will also introduce some more constructs which are very critical to this. But the sensitivity list business, like when you can associate the sensitivity list, is also purely a simulation, only in simulation situations. There is no equivalent of synthesizing something with sensitivity list. When you say that I want to, let us say, synthesize a flip flop or any other later on algorithms we talk about, we cannot put something on the sensitivity list over here. Okay, sensitivity list has a meaning only in the simulation environment, where what it essentially implies is this particular thing will get triggered every time the clock is, and this will be evaluated. So if I have multiple processors, there is one process, there could be another process, and so on. Let me also take another example. In this case I will take an example of a multiplexer, and I will show you two ways of describing the multiplexer, and this will also make a distinction between how something like multiplexing or a multiplexer would appear when it is in the data flow or when it is a concurrent assignment, and how will it appear when we are doing it algorithmically, when it is in a sequential flow. So now in this case, concurrent conditional assignment, I have x0, x1, x2, x3. So there is a concurrent assignment that is available. I am saying y is assigned x0 when select equal to 0, else x1 when select equal to 1, else x2 when select equal to 2, else x3 when select is equal to 3. Of course. So this will be a set of, so I can have any of these expressions, and they are going to be associated with, so there will be a selection logic, so a multiplexer will, it is equivalent to having a multiplexer with x0, x1, x2, x3, and this is being selected, and this select is an integer type, that is why we have 0, 1, 2, 3. We can have integer types declared, and this takes, so you can also say what is the range of those integers. So in this case the range will be only 0 to 3 if it is a 2-bit integer, and then I can have this output assigned to one of them. A similar thing can also appear in, so this will appear as part of the concurrent assignment, will appear as part of your data flow statements. You can have a similar situation when I want to do a case select, and this could appear as part of a process when you are doing a sequential description. So you can see the difference, what is happening. Case select is when 0, y is assigned x0, when 1, y is assigned x1, when 2y is assigned. So that's the syntax for this, and when 3y is assigned x3.
So select is a keyword.
Oh, sorry, it's not a keyword. Select is the same thing as is just a signal that there is a 2-bit signal again. Case is a keyword, is a keyword. Okay, so now what we have over here is, so there is a very distinct distinction between this. So please remember, in case of the concurrent assignment, we can make only one assignment to the signal, and I am selecting the driver. The driver itself is getting selected, and I have only one driver. So the input to the driver is getting selected. Input to the driver is either from x1, x2, x1, x2, x3, and so on and so forth. Here it is more like the way you write your case statements. One of them is, what it implies is one of them will be executed. That is the implication. Which one is going to be executed depends upon what the value of select is. So it is either x0 will be, y will be assigned x0 or y will be assigned x1. So depending on, so you will essentially branch in terms of your control flow, you will branch to the proper statement and execute that, and then you. So this can appear as part of a process, that can appear as part of the data flow. So there is a distinction between, so data flow. Okay, so we are talking of concurrent assignments. Basically a data flow description consists of concurrent assignments.
Example of how this is put in the data flow and assignment.
We will see a lot more examples. So some of them today, and then we will continue with this. Okay, let's look at the difference between variables and signals. VHDL also provides for variables. These variables are like the container, like the typical variables, memory locations, like in your programming languages. As we said before, signals are like nodes on your circuit. So when you assign a value to a signal, it's like assigning a complete waveform. You have to define for, so whereas when you assign value to a variable, it is like assigning a value to a storage location. So you can update it. So this is a set of statements, very similar statements. I take, this again a somewhat similar example is there in the notes. I modified it slightly to fit it into the slide. So there is some entity which is declared, let us say it is a dummy entity, is called dummy. I am not declaring that entity itself. This of course name of the entity. There is some architecture, the name of this architecture is var, just because I want to show. So as part of the architecture I can define some signals. So I am again defining two signals here, trigger and sum. Sum is something which I want to initialize to 0. The sum is a signal which is getting initialized to 0, but I have another signal which is trigger. Okay. I have begin process. So I have process and end process, and this begin and this end correspond to end of the architecture. So I should have this. Variable var1 integer. So I have defined now some integers. Integers are variables, some variables. These variables are to be defined within the body of a process. And please remember, variables cannot communicate, variables are not visible outside the process. All variables are local to a process. So that's an important thing to realize in terms of, so basically anything that needs to communicate with another module or another process or another architecture has to go through the signals. So there is no way. So this signal can be seen outside, but this particular variables will only be, they have the life only within the process. And this semantics is, so if you think about it, it will become intuitively clear why it is so, because these are all basically, otherwise there will be notions of who defines it, all types of conflicts will come. So that is the reason that they have it only within the process. So you have this var1, var3 and var2, let us say the 3 variables, and let me define this This is a very important construct, and later on we will use this very heavily when we describe algorithms using VHDL. Wait on trigger. Wait is a construct which suspends the process, execution of the process. And if the execution of the process is suspended and it waits for an event to occur, you can specify any event. In this case, any event on trigger will make it proceed further. Let me explain to you regarding, so I could have done, for example, two things here. I could have done process, let us say if I define this process trigger. Process name is optional, but if you have, you can also have a name. So process trigger, if I have defined over here, which is the sensitivity list for the process, the implication is that, so this is actually equivalent to process when you say process trigger, what happens is the process is executed once initially, and then it is like having a trigger at the end of it. So it is going to get suspended till the trigger, any event on trigger comes, and then it will start all over again and execute it. So when I say put something on the sensitivity list, the implication is you will execute it once initially and then you will suspend it, and you will wait for any other activity to, any other event to occur on the signals which are there in the sensitivity list. In this case, because it's coming right at the beginning, even when you try to initially execute it, the first time it will not get executed because there is no event. So the process will get suspended. And once the process gets suspended, so whenever you use a wait statement, so the wait statement can be used, you can wait for an event, wait for events or durations or time periods. You can also wait for a certain time period. You can say that I want to wait for 10 nanoseconds, or I want to wait for 100 microseconds, or you can say that. So that is basically the process gets suspended whenever there is a wait statement, and whenever that particular event occurs. If you say wait for 10 nanoseconds, is actually a default event which will be generated after 10 nanoseconds. This is something which is generated by the simulator from the present time to, it will add the 10 nanosecond, and it will proceed again. So in this case, it comes and waits over here, and this execution will start whenever there is an event that occurs on the trigger. So so now this particular statement is exactly like your C or Pascal statement. You take the value of var1, var1 has a value of 1, and var2 has a value of 2, 1 plus 2, 3, and that value will be assigned to var3, whatever is the value. And now the next statement, now you will take the present value of var3, because it's like a container, it's like a storage location. So the value of var3 has already been updated to 3, and that particular value of 3 will be stored in var1.
So will the end for that begin wait on trigger? So do we need an end?
No, we don't need. Wait doesn't. Begin, okay, this should have been in separate lines. Unfortunately, to keep the fonts as large as possible, I had some complaints last time that we couldn't see. So that's the reason I have tried to compress. Okay. Otherwise, if for clarity, one should have written them in separate lines. Okay. So if you look into the book, it will be on separate lines, and that will be clear. So there should be a line feed. There should be a line feed here. So I take the value of var3, and similarly line feed here. var3, and then I transfer it to var1, and now, but because I cannot go, whatever is visible outside are only signals, so I have to actually assign a value. Finally, if I have to do something useful using any process, and if I am using variables inside, of course I can also use signals. I will show you later on. Only model is different. But if I use variables, then finally I have to transfer some results from those variables to the signals, because if I don't transfer, so when I write a concurrent statement like this, so now this is slightly different meaning, because right hand side you have a variable and left hand side you have a signal. The sum is a signal and variable. So the implication over here is whatever is the value of this variable. So but this is, as I told you, this is like a node and this is like a storage location. Okay, so whatever is the present value of the variable, when I am executing this, whatever is the present value of var1 will be copied to this particular signal, and it will be like extending that same value till another assignment is made to the signal. The same signal till another assignment is made, the same value will continue. It is like extending that till the that is the, and you can we will see more examples of this wait, because that's very important, because typically when we are writing descriptions we will need to do that. So you have this, as I said, you can have wait for events and you can have wait for time period. One major restriction that is there in VHDL is, if there is even a single wait statement over here, you cannot use, this has to be blank. You are not permitted to have signals on the sensitivity list and wait statements. And the reason is very clear, because it becomes, if there is a wait statement, the process is getting suspended. And if, let's say, now there is a, if let us say you also put some signals in the sensitivity list, and if there is a event on any of the signals, where should you start from? Whether you should start from where you have suspended it, or whether you should start from the beginning. So the wait and sensitivity list are mutually exclusive. Either you use signals in the sensitivity list or you use wait statements. Both of them are not permitted. Both of them are permitted as far as simulation is concerned. We consider for simulation any one of these things you can use. But when it comes to synthesis, the wait can be used, but wait has to be used in a very restricted manner. Again, we will see examples of that. But before we go, let us look at what happens in terms of the signals.
Sir, in the previous slide, when you do assignment variable var3, var2 integer equal to 2, so is var3 also assigned as 2 or
3, no, okay, this is a point that I also would, but I think both of them would get initialized, but I have to consider. Otherwise, you have to declare type separately. var3 you can declare type separately, and then it will not be initialized. At this point, I would have to confirm again. So, but you can separate them out, declare them if only one has to be initialized. Okay, now let's look at the signals part. Now I have another architecture defined, so which is somewhat similar. Signal of dummy is, so now I had defining some signals. These signals were same as what we had before, but now I have some additional signals, and these were like the variables I have now, equivalent signals I had defined. But one major difference, you will see that signals were defined within, variables were defined within the process, and signals have been defined outside the process. These signals are going to be visible, not only any signal that you define within this architecture. An architecture can consist of many processes. It's not necessary that here I have only one process, but you can have 5 processes. All those processes are concurrently active, and they are all part of this architecture. So now, if I have more than one process, all these signals are visible in all those processes. They are part of the architecture. And now I have a similar description over here. I say wait on trigger. Signal 3 is assigned signal 1 plus signal 2. Signal 1 is assigned signal 3. Sum is assigned signal 1. Now, one thing is, of course, syntactically, when on the left hand side, when you have a signal, you use a concurrent assignment, and when you have a variable, you use, so the notation is different. Okay. So, of course, one could resolve from looking at the type whether it's a signal or a variable, but anyway, so also to make sure that you follow this. So whenever you are writing a signal, you have to do a concurrent assignment, and when you are doing a having a variable on the left hand side, you do a variable assignment. So now in this case, let's look at the difference what happens. So this is also again waiting for an event on trigger. Once a wait trigger event occurs, the way it's going to go is going to evaluate this expression and schedule it on this. Then it's going to evaluate and schedule it on this, going to evaluate and schedule it on this. And here I have to explain what is called a delta delay model. The way this will work is signal 1 will get not the new value of signal 3, but it will get the old value of signal 3. Please remember, this is a process and it is sequential execution. Sequential execution here only means, the only implication of sequential execution here is you are going in this way. It is predetermined, fixed that it is going to. It does not mean that this assignment will be carried out immediately. The assignment is going scheduled on this after a delay of delta. Okay, this delta thing is a completely notional, and it's only basically it's only again part of the simulation semantics of VHDL. And we said a lot of VHDL was essentially developed for modeling, and that is the reason. And there is a very, let's say, there's a requirement why this delta model delay model is required, and what is the delta delay model I will explain to you in a moment. What happens is, you have number of expressions whenever you are doing this assignment to signals, a number of expressions which need to be done at time t, because we are not associating, there are no any delays associated with computing these expressions. So this expression is also to be done at time t, this expression is also to be done at time t, this expression is also to be evaluated at time t, and then they have to be assigned. Of course, if there has been some after clause here, then I have to say that this will be assigned after 10 nanosecond or 5 nanosecond. But I don't have any after clause here, so I have to do it. But when do they actually I assign it to this? So what I do is, as far as the simulation is concerned, I have this infinitesimally small time delta, after which it is will be assigned to this signal 3. All of them will be assigned simultaneously after delta time. Okay. So what happens over here is you get a previous value of 1. But let us say I actually want to sequentialize it. I actually want to do it exactly in the same manner as the variables worked. I can do it. The way I have to do it is, I have to write it in this manner. I say sig 3 is assigned sig 1 plus sig 2. Wait on sig 3. By introducing these wait statements in between, what will happen is, I evaluate this and schedule that this particular value is going to be assigned to sig 3 after a period of delay of delta. But now I have to suspend it because I said wait on. And what are you I am waiting for? I am waiting for an event on sig 3, and the event on sig 3 is going to be generated because of the fact that it is going to get a new assignment of a, and doesn't matter whether the value is new or old. Okay, so even if the previous value was, so still it will. So what we will have is, we will get a event on sig 3, and then I will proceed. Then I will go to this sig 3 gets sig 1. Again, I am waiting for, because this is on the left hand side, an event is going to be generated on sig1, and then I will get wait on sig1, and then I go to.
But what if we have already used sensitivity list?
No, you cannot use. If you are using any weights, you cannot use so
Then is there any other alternative? Like, can we use weight after some time or something?
no, you cannot use any weight statement if you are using sensitivity list.
So that's what I'm saying. If you have already used a sensitivity list, isn't there some alternative?
No, but that is depends on what type of model you are doing. So when you are using sensitivity list, you are doing see, let's say you are, conceptually, that is why I said, so that particular first slide is very important. For a particular architecture, there is no point in arbitrarily. This slide is very important. You should have to be very clear once you start your VHDL. See, theoretically VHDL provides that you can mix anything, okay, but within an architecture it doesn't serve any purpose to mix things. So you have to be clear that what is it that you are doing: structural description, data flow description, algorithmic description, RTL description, and then you will, and of course what you can have is you can have one architecture which is in data flow, another architecture in algorithm. That's perfectly fine, because you are analyzing one thing and developing it further, refining it further, and only for simulation I am using the other part. So that's fine, but there is no need to do that. When you actually see the requirement, you will see that sensitivity is, when you do that, there is no need to do this.
But if we give something like sig1 is assigned sig3 after 1 nanosecond, then will it do the same thing?
No, okay.
I mean,
No, that's different. That does not make any. Sig3, if I say sig3 is assigned sig1 after 1 nanosecond, if I say this, sig1 is evaluated and scheduled on assignment to sig3 after 1 nanosecond. Instead of saying after delta, now it is a finite value.
but it is old value.
Yeah, but now if I have sig3 over here, unless I say wait for 1 nanosecond, now I have a choice. I can say either wait for 1 nanosecond or I can say wait for sig3. If I don't say this wait, the sig3 value is still the old value, because I am going to go ahead. See, the only thing in case of the difference between data flow and when you are writing within a process, when you say that it is sequential, here we are enforcing that these expressions will be evaluated in a certain order, in the order in which you have written down your description. Beyond that, the model is, you have to be clear that when the assignment will take place. There is another difference over here. The difference is when you say 1 nanosecond, it actually means t plus 1 in terms of the simulator. Let's say your simulation, of course when you talk of a simulator, you are talking of a tool, and there are certain features which are implementation dependent. But assume that your simulator you have specified is going in steps of 1 nanosecond, and that is the minimum resolution that you are interested. After all, when you run a simulator, you have to say what steps you have to run the simulator. You can say it is in 100 picoseconds also, so then there will be 10 points, and this will correspond to t plus 1 nanoseconds. But this delta delay does not mean anything as far as the simulator is concerned. Simulator will still be at t, though you have said wait for delta. Simulation does not move. So as far as the simulation time is, t plus delta, t plus 2 delta is only an evaluation order as far as the simulation is concerned. It will do all the activities that have to be done at t first. It will do all the activities which have to be done at t plus delta later. It is like a queue. You can say there is a queue for t, activities that need to be done, there is a queue for t, there is a queue for t plus delta, there is a queue for t plus 2 delta, and so on and so forth. There are various queues, and I will first complete all this, then complete all this, then complete all this. But as far as the time, simulator time is concerned, it is still stuck at t. But whereas if I say wait for 1 nanosecond, simulator will proceed by 1 nanosecond. So that's the delta is completely simulation semantic.
So what will in the previous handwritten?
This one?
What will happen if I have to wait for 1 nanosecond? Previous value is assigned or the new value?
Now new value will be assigned. Wait for 1 nanosecond if you write.
And we have after 1 nanosecond.
Yeah, you said after 1 nanosecond. So the present time is t. Okay, where when you come to this, let us say it is time t. So at t, this right hand side expression is evaluated. In this case, expression is nothing but sig1. You can have a very complex expression, doesn't matter. You could mix signal values and variables here for the expression. Variables will, because this evaluation is only going to take place at one instance of time. That time instance is t. So even if it is a signal, you are only taking the snapshot. You are only reading that signal. So even if it is a circuit node, you are only finding what the value of that node is at particular time t. If there is a variable, of course, I am reading the container, I am reading the storage location, what the value of that variable is, performing the expression. It could be arithmetic, logical, any expression. And I say that this is scheduled to occur on this after 1 nanosecond. I have done this and I just encountered a wait, and I am going to suspend this process. This process will be reactivated only based on the event that is associated with the wait. The event that is associated with the wait is 1 nanosecond. So it will be activated at t plus 1. At t plus 1 already this is waiting that it should be done. So it will be done first and then you will go and do it. So this particular event will be associated at t plus 1 plus delta. If I say sig3 is transferred to sig1, sig1 will get the value at not at t plus 1, but it will be scheduled to occur at t plus 1 plus delta because of the delta delay that I have to associate with this. Okay, so actually this part of it is little, this is the one thing which you have to understand, that how the signal values are updated, because once you start doing simulation with VHDL, which will be part of your assignment, there this can be, because this is the only thing which is different from the way your other languages work. But this is essentially because of the model that one has, as once you understand that signals are all nodes of a circuit, like basically they have a waveform associated, one needs to resolve these things, and that is okay. So let me take more examples. So as far as the statements within a process, you can also have procedures. Procedures are very similar to the way you have functions in other programming languages. And the statements which are permitted are assignments, control constructs, procedure calls, and wait statements. So these are all permitted within that, and we will consider them later on. Okay, let me take another example and then we will stop.
So please show the slides for your readers.
Okay. Okay, please, there is something wrong. There has come. I have to fix this slide, so some editing problem. Okay. Let me show you a RTL behavior of a okay. I think I will break over here because there are some other inputs have to be shown before that, so I will stop over here. We'll continue.